It was a night that began like so many others in the sprawling heart of Dallas, but it would end with a silence that screamed louder than any alarm. Lisa Monroe, just 17, a bright spark with a future full of promise, was babysitting, a familiar gig, a safe neighborhood, or so everyone thought. Then, Lisa vanished, simply gone, as if plucked from the earth by an unseen hand, leaving behind only questions and a gnawing, terrible fear that gripped her family and the community. The Johnson family, her employers for the evening, would return to a scene that would forever be seared into their memories. Not of a tired babysitter waiting for them, but of an eerie stillness. And in that stillness, a small blinking light. Lisa's cell phone left behind. This wasn't just a missing person case anymore. This was something else. Dallas, Texas, a city of ambition, of towering glass and steel. But this story unfolds not in its bustling center, but in a quiet residential enclave. Tree-lined streets, well-kept lawns. The Johnson family lived here in a comfortable two-story home. And on that particular Friday evening, May 16, 2025, Lisa Monroe was part of that picture. A trusted presence ensuring the Johnson children slept soundly while their parents enjoyed a rare night out. Lisa knew the routine well. She'd babysat for the Johnsons several times before. It was all so familiar, so comforting in its predictability. But peace, as we know, can be a fragile thing, easily shattered by the unexpected, by the unwelcome. The clock was inching towards midnight. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, their evening out concluded, turned onto their street. They anticipated the usual scene, a slightly sleepy Lisa, ready to give a quick report on the kids, collect her payment and head home. But the driveway was empty. Lisa's car, usually parked by the curb, was nowhere in sight. A small, almost insignificant detail, perhaps. Maybe her parents had picked her up already? A flicker of unease, nothing more. They entered their home, expecting to hear Lisa's greeting from the living room, or find her tidying up in the kitchen. Instead, they were met with an unnerving silence. The television was off. The lights were on, but the house felt strangely vacant. "Lisa?" Mrs. Johnson called out, her voice echoing slightly in the stillness. No reply. The children, they quickly checked, were sound asleep in their beds, blissfully unaware that anything was amiss. Mr. Johnson tried calling Lisa's cell phone. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. Strange. She always answered, or at least texted back immediately. They called her parents. Had Lisa mentioned an early pickup? No, they were expecting her home later. The search began, first in the house, then the yard, their calls for Lisa growing more desperate. The flashing lights of police cruisers soon painted the quiet suburban street in unsettling hues of red and blue. The Johnson home, just hours before a haven of peace, was now a potential crime scene. Detectives arrived, their faces grim, their questions methodical. They spoke with the distraught Johnsons, trying to piece together a timeline. And then, their attention turned to the object left behind on the kitchen counter, Lisa's cell phone. In a world of digital footprints, it was the most immediate link to the missing girl. Investigators began the painstaking process of examining the phone's contents. They scrolled through her recent calls, her text messages, her social media activity. Initially, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Just typical teenage chatter, plans with friends, messages to her family. Then a detective noticed it, an audio file recently created. It was short, just under a minute. Its timestamp corresponded ominously with the estimated time of her disappearance. With a click, the silence of the Johnsons' kitchen was broken by the recording. At first, muffled sounds, fabric rustling, a faint thud. Was it a struggle? Then a voice. Not Lisa's. A man's voice, low, calm, almost gentle, but with an undeniable undercurrent of menace. "Don't scream," it said. "Just be quiet." Then Lisa's voice, small, trembling. "Who are you? What do you want?" she managed to whisper. The man's response was chillingly direct. "You're coming with me, now." The recording ended abruptly. This wasn't a runaway, this was an abduction. The investigation, now fueled by the terrifying audio, kicked into high gear. Every resource was mobilized. The first thing detectives noted was the lack of forced entry at the Johnson home. The front door had been unlocked when the Johnsons returned. Did Lisa know her abductor? Had she opened the door to someone familiar, someone she trusted, only to be betrayed? Officers began canvassing the neighborhood, knocking on doors, hoping someone had seen or heard something, anything out of the ordinary. In the pre-dawn hours, memories can be hazy, details elusive. But one neighbor, an early riser, recalled something. A dark-colored sedan, unfamiliar to the street, idling near the Johnson home around the time Lisa would have been alone. Security footage, from a nearby home, though grainy and distant, confirmed the presence of such a vehicle. A small lead, but a lead nonetheless. The focus returned again and again to that chilling audio recording. The man's voice, it was distinctive, calm, but with a certain timbre, a particular cadence. Could anyone identify that voice? It was a long shot, a desperate hope. The audio was cleaned up, enhanced, and prepared for a wider audience. Joel Carter. The name echoed in the busy incident room. Detectives scrambled, digging into his background. Was he known to police? A quick check revealed a minor assault charge from over a decade ago. Nothing that would have raised significant red flags. He was 42, lived alone, and worked various odd jobs around Dallas. On the surface, unremarkable. But the parent who tentatively identified his voice from that horrifying audio snippet was certain enough to make him a person of intense interest. The description of the dark sedan also matched a vehicle registered to him. The pieces were falling into place, forming a disturbing picture. Carter had access to the neighborhood. He knew the routines. He might have seen Lisa, learned her schedule. Investigators discovered Carter had recently inherited an old, somewhat dilapidated property from a distant relative. It was on the far outskirts of Dallas, isolated and currently unoccupied. The perfect place perhaps to hold someone against their will, away from prying eyes and listening ears. Time was of the essence. A tactical team was assembled. Every second that passed felt like an eternity. Under the cloak of early morning, the team moved in on the abandoned house. Tense moments followed. The door was breached, shouts of police echoed through the dusty rooms, and then, a cry, weak but unmistakable. It was Lisa. They found her in a back bedroom tied to a chair, terrified and exhausted but alive.